Picture this: Valentine's Day, 1929, a day of love and romance, but for 7 men in Chicago, it was their last. On this day, the city was shaken by an act of terror. The atmosphere of love was shattered by gunshot sounds. This was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. While couples were sharing affection, 7 gang members were losing their lives in a garage. This plan was orchestrated by Al Capone and his right-hand man, Jack "Machine Gun" McGurn. Capone, a figure known for his involvement in organized crime, was in a bitter feud with Bugs Moran over control of the city's illegal rackets. On this day, he decided to act, but it wasn't a simple hit. 4 gunmen, 2 in police uniforms, released a storm of bullets, ending 7 lives instantly. The main target, Bugs Moran, narrowly escaped. The audacity of this crime shocked the nation. The brutality, the daring, stunned people. This wasn't fiction, but a chilling reality. Proof of the reach of organized crime. As roses were being delivered across, the 7 men were delivered to their death. Behind every crime, there's a mastermind. In this case, it was none other than Al Capone. His name, a chilling whisper through Chicago's dark alleyways. Capone, the notorious kingpin of the Roaring Twenties, was a man whose ruthless ambition was limitless. His goal? To gain absolute control by eliminating his rivals in illicit trades. His primary target was George "Bugs" Moran, a rival gangster whose power irked Capone. The plan was equally cunning and chilling. Bait Moran with the offer of cheap whiskey into a trap set in an inconspicuous garage. Capone needed henchmen for this, cold-blooded killers who could execute the plan without hesitation. 4 men were selected, all strangers to Chicago, to avoid identification. A macabre performance was in the making, with each detail meticulously planned. The stage was set, the actors ready. Capone, the puppet master, was prepared to orchestrate a massacre. However, the main target, Moran, arrived late and evaded the deadly trap. Still, the bloody spectacle went on, with 7 men falling prey to this brutal display of power. The stage was set, the players were in place, and the curtain was about to rise on one of the most gruesome shows Chicago had ever seen. Like a well-rehearsed play, every move was calculated, every bullet for its mark. On February 14, 1929, in a nondescript Chicago garage, a deadly scene was set. 7 members of George "Bugs" Moran's notorious gang found themselves in a fatal confrontation. The unsuspecting men were lined up against a wall, the air heavy with impending doom. The garage, once an ordinary urban symbol, transformed into a stage for a gruesome spectacle. Killers, selected from outside the city to avoid recognition, posed as policemen. Their task, to execute Al Capone's deadly order. The executioners opened fire on the unsuspecting victims. The echo of gunfire filled the garage, each bullet a chilling note in this dreadful symphony. As the smoke lifted, the grim truth dawned. All 7 men lay lifeless, their lives taken in a storm of bullets. Amidst chaos, a twist of fate unfolded. Bugs Moran, the main target, escaped the massacre. His late arrival, a stroke of luck, saved him from the lethal bullet shower his gang couldn't evade. In the blink of an eye, 7 lives were extinguished, leaving a scene straight out of a nightmare. This was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a day when love was eclipsed by bloodshed and a grim reminder of the deadly consequences of gang warfare. In the wake of the massacre, Chicago was a city in shock. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre had shaken its leaving an indelible mark. The sheer ferocity of the crime and audaciousness of the criminals was unprecedented, sending shockwaves nationwide. More than claiming 7 lives, it changed the power dynamics in Chicago's underworld. George "Bugs" Moran, once a formidable gangster, saw his power wane significantly, ending his reign. Meanwhile, for Al Capone, the supposed orchestrator, it was a double-edged sword. He had eliminated rivals, consolidating his control over the city's illicit industries. However, the massacre brought unwanted spotlight. Now the law was closing in, and he was viewed as ruthless murderer rather than a roguish anti-hero. His new image was public enemy #1. The massacre had flung him into national consciousness, but also started his downfall. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre altered Chicago and the nation, changing lives and the city's history. The massacre was not just an attack, it was a statement, a grim reminder of the power and ruthlessness of Al Capone. The blood had barely dried when the hunt for the perpetrators began. Chicago was reeling and the nation was watching as the brutal details of the shocking massacre unfolded. 7 men mercilessly murdered. Amidst the pandemonium, one notorious name surfaced: Al Capone. Known for his criminal, Capone had a notorious rivalry with Bugs Moran, the aimed target, and his desire to eliminate Moran was no secret. The nature of the massacre pointed towards Capone: daring, cruel, and strategically executed. Therefore, suspicion naturally turned to him. But suspicion is no proof, and the detectives had a daunting task at hand. They plunged into Chicago's dark criminal underworld, trying to decipher Capone's intricate web of deception and treachery. Yet, the deeper they investigated, the more elusive the truth seemed. Evidence was scarce. The murderers were meticulous, leaving behind only a wake of bodies and a terrified city. Despite the escalating tension and public outcry for justice, no one was convicted. The case grew cold, and the St. Valentine's Day Massacre became an unsolved mystery in the crime history. However, the tale continued, sparking speculation of Chicago police involvement or other adversaries of Moran. Rumors of a conspiracy or a cover-up began to circulate. The massacre unveiled the city's dark side, and it was evident that the corruption was deep-rooted. The case remains as cold as the bodies that were left behind in that garage. Every rise has a fall, and for Al Capone, the fall was just around the corner. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre marked a turning point for Capone. Despite solidifying his reign by eliminating his gang rivals, it also painted him as America's prominent gangster, earning him the title Public Enemy Number 1. The event triggered intensifying law enforcement pressure aimed at dismantling his empire. The persistent authorities pursued all possible charges. Uniquely, it was not his violent crimes, but his unpaid taxes that led to his downfall. The federal authorities, spearheaded by the tenacious Eliot Ness, utilized tax evasion charges. This simple strategy was hugely effective. In October of 1931, Capone was found guilty of tax evasion and sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. The once untouchable orchestrator of gangland terror was brought down by unpaid taxes. Prison marked the end of his reign, and his health took a downward turn due to syphilis. Released in 1939, Capone lived out his remaining years in seclusion in his Florida mansion. Capone might have escaped justice for the massacre, but he couldn't escape the long arm of the law forever. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre is a chilling reminder of a darker time in our history. It's a tale deeply ingrained in America's past, illustrating power, rivalry, and ambition. On this day, 7 lives were cruelly ended in a bid for control. This massacre marked the end of significant gang resistance against formidable Al Capone. For Capone, it was a strategic move in the gritty underworld of Chicago's crime realm. A statement, an audacious declaration that reverberated across the city's streets, warning those who dared cross his path. Despite giving him firm control over the city, the massacre also cast an unwelcome spotlight on Capone. He became America's most infamous gangster, his name equating to the unchecked violence rampant in the Windy City. This sparked public fascination and horror, forcing authorities to act. However, it was not the murders or his reign of terror that led to Capone's downfall, rather a simple matter of tax evasion. This resulted in him being handcuffed, stripped of power, and confined within Alcatraz's austere walls. Today, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre serves as a grim reminder of the price of power and the fragility of life. It's a legacy that continues to haunt, a chilling testament to the darker side of human ambition. Despite all the theories, all the investigations, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre remains an unsolved mystery. In Chicago, a garage became a crime scene where 7 men were violently slain. The mastermind? Likely Al Capone. The culprits, unidentified, dressed as police. Despite the rumors, no one was convicted. The case has fascinated detectives, crime buffs, and historians. The truth, however, is still unclear. Many blame the Chicago police, others Capone's rivals. The theories are endless, creating a thick fog of speculation. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a grim chapter in American crime history, remains shrouded in mystery. Who pulled the triggers that day remains a mystery. A dark secret that the city of Chicago carries in its heart.